sports television and radio for nearly 3 decades. He serves currently as the general manager of Pelican Broadcasting in Baton Rouge, and he hosts Tigers Roar each Friday night at 8 p.m., which airs in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans on Pelican Sports TV and WHNO TV locally. He also hosts Pelican Sports Radio on The Score, 12:10 a.m. in Baton Rouge, Monday through Fridays from 3 to 4 p.m. LSU has some game this week against some opponent, and I jest, of course, and I'm sure he'll talk about that. So please give a warm quarterback club welcome to Tommy Krysan. Tommy?
Thank you very much, Ken. My pleasure to be here today. Picked out this date many weeks ago. Let Ken know he had told me to pick a date early in the year, and I knew what was coming up Saturday, and like most people was trying to not talk about it, but really on radio and TV in Baton Rouge, right after the Oregon game, when LSU beat Oregon, that's when it started. You couldn't go a day without somebody mentioning November 5th or mentioning the LSU-Alabama game. And that kind of grew every week. And certainly all the coach cliches, you take them one at a time and you can't look ahead, you look past somebody. Well, both teams did what they had to do to be at 8-0 and 5-0 in conference, and then CBS pulled some magic and got the game at night and all that good stuff. So it's, I've been in Baton Rouge since the mid-90s in radio and TV, and I've never seen anything like it around town. And I mean, of course, there's been College World Series champions, there's been a run to the Final Four in basketball, and it's still not been matched as to what is going on in that town, the excitement from the fans. And the stadium seats over 100,000 now in Tuscaloosa, and I haven't met anybody in Baton Rouge who's not going to the game. I would be going, except that we do a post-game show on radio and TV that's simulcast immediately following the games, and you can get that here in New Orleans on Cox Cable Channel 116. In the last 3 weeks, every post-game show, we try to talk about LSU and their opponent. The conversation would just go to Alabama. I've not seen anything like it. Of course, the national, all of South Louisiana, and certainly the state of Alabama is truly excited, and 7 o'clock Saturday night can't get here soon enough. All of this stuff going on, ironically, I don't think is going to affect either football team because of who each team has as a head coach. Nick Saban is not going to let this team get distracted. He has a proven track record of not letting teams get distracted. And Les Miles is certainly the same. Just look at everything that's happened since the Cotton Bowl. Personally, he lost his sister in a car wreck. The health situation with Coach Craig Thorpe. Then you take all the theatrics by the players and some stuff you haven't even heard of. But he has been able to demonstrate the ability to have his team ready to play football. I wrote on SportsNola.com a couple of weeks ago, there's no way they would look past Auburn, and they didn't. Les Miles, it took me a little while to really get over that line that Les Miles was the great coach that I now think he is. Aside from the clock stuff in Mississippi and in Baton Rouge against Tennessee, things happen. They happen in all football games at all levels. But I think Les Miles is a whole lot smarter than anybody ever wants to give him credit for. And his players, I believe in the old cliche that players are a reflection of their head coach. And as I talk to these players each and every day, they are almost like clones of Les Miles. And another thing that they've had, and Coach Banco mentioned this, the word team. This is the closest team I've seen at LSU in football in all the years of being there. Aside from the fact that it's the most talented, they've got more depth at every position than you could ever imagine. They could field a second team that could be competitive in many conferences around this country. So I don't see there being the distraction that everybody thinks it is. And then when you're 18 to 22 years old, you got other things that you think about during the week. They're supposed to be thinking about school. I don't know how much of that'll happen this week. But they got other things in their lives that we don't realize now that we're removed from that time when we were 18 to 22 years old. So anyway, I think it's as the old saying goes, it's a game you buy a ticket for, and you want to get in there, put your seatbelt on, it should be a heck of a game. Personally, I think LSU is going to win the game straight up. I think they're a better football team with the exception of possibly at linebacker. But other than that, they're better. Now, they haven't turned the ball over since the fourth quarter of the Mississippi State game. That's 5 football games without a turnover. I think Coach can tell you, and David can tell you how important that can be in the world of wins and losses. Will they turn it over against Alabama? I don't know. You got to think that that's going to come to an end sooner or later, but maybe not. That's how talented and how special this football team really is, and it's all a reflection of Coach Miles. I mean, he comes off as a little aloof sometimes, and he's very guarded, and he doesn't want to let people in, and I'm not just talking about injuries. I'm talking about he's very, very much to himself, but in that locker room, that team is a true team, as Coach Banco made a reference to. And when you have teams like that, and you have the talent that they have and the depth that they have, and you don't make mistakes, you end up 8-0 and #1 in the country and playing for a chance to, you know, go into another national championship. So it's really a remarkable story up there. And I think the key this week for everybody has got to separate all of the internet and the TV and the radio, which I'm a part of daily, and then just get ready for 7 o'clock on Saturday night, because it's going to be one heck of a thing. And if you take the team picture of LSU this year, and you need to wait about 3 or 4 years, and you watch and see how many guys in this year's team picture maybe not make an NFL roster, but get into an NFL camp. That number is going to be going back to the 82 LSU team that had like 15 guys in an NFL camp off the 82 team picture. You go back to when Jerry DiNardo began increasing the talent level at LSU. Todd McClure, Kevin Falk, they both still play in the NFL. And then Saban raised the talent level. Miles has taken it even higher. I mean, if he gets in the living room, the kid's going to LSU. That's the saying. And the other key thing, all those other coaches I mentioned, I could find some people in the locker room who weren't that crazy about the coach and didn't really like him, you know, respected him certainly, but maybe not biggest fans, not going to send him a Christmas card kind of thing. Never have found that on this year's team. That team, they love each other, they love their coach, and as Coach Banco said, the team concept is a perfect example of why they've had the success that they have had. It's going to be a fun one on Saturday night, that's for sure. I'll be happy to take some questions, and I do have a story to end up with about another LSU legend, Pete Maravich. But go ahead.
Just raise your hand.
But it looks like your quarterback is better. And I don't know if you can get the protocol on defense, but, you know, I know we might go over the dimensional, and I want to know if we could go yes. And we could go on the dimensional, nothing, you know, to be normal with that.
I think Alabama is one-dimensional. They want to run the football. They, like LSU, want the quarterback to throw the ball between 14 and 20 times. If the quarterback has to throw it more than 20, it's probably not a good thing. So they want that, and they want to run the football. LSU, as you've seen in the last 3 weeks, double tight end, fullbacks in there, they're going to run the football, and had any of the previous 3 opponents stopped the run, they would have went to the pass. You know, I don't think one-dimensional is the answer when Jordan Jefferson goes in. I think it makes them multi-dimensional, and it puts so much pressure on the defense. And Coach Banco being a defensive guy, he's glad he's not game planning for Jarrett Lee, Jordan Jefferson, Ruben Randall, and I could go on and on and on. I think it's an unbelievable threat. When they put Jordan Jefferson back on the team a few weeks ago, that made LSU a better football team. And again, it's all about team. They probably don't know that's on the schedule. They're going to have to ask next Sunday, who do we play next? You know, they're human. They know what's what. Yeah, the team had the weekend off, and they returned to practice this afternoon. Les Miles is speaking at this moment in Baton Rouge. Yeah, they were heavily recruiting. There were a lot of coaches. I've actually seen Les Miles in 2 different stadiums on high school. I'm at a high school game every Friday night, and I've seen him personally at the Dutchtown game. I think y'all know why he was there. And I've seen him elsewhere as well. Nick Saban's birthday, Dale Brown's birthday, and I think Jerry DiNardo's too, actually. And Ken Trahan's, right?
Not
no, okay.
Not happening. Raise your hand.
Yeah, just kind of shifting into the LSU coaching staff and talk about a man, a young man who spoke here a few years ago, and I met and talked to him a few times, who was very impressive guy. Frank Wilson, why would he be a good head football coach at Tulane? And maybe why maybe he's not ready to do this. And John, I've been reading your comments religiously. I've been your insight. I think it needs to work. Go ahead. A young coach
I have not interacted with Frank a whole lot, just a little bit, but, you know, the guy's been around forever. He's an incredible recruiter, and believe me, there's one thing that wins football games. One thing, and that's players. Players win football games. And Frank Wilson has shown an ability to get players at whatever school he's been at. And I would think that if it came to be that he was the head football coach at Tulane, that he would raise the talent level at Tulane so that they could compete each and every week. So I think, you know, again, who knows what will happen. David said he didn't know what was going on. I certainly don't. But I think he'd be a good man for the job. And if he wants that job, if he takes it, it means he wants it. And I think he would give 100% into trying to make Tulane better each and every day that he's on the job. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. You never stay the same. Tulane's got to spend time getting better every day, and they know that. I'm not saying anything they don't know that David doesn't know. And players will do it. It's all about players.
Anyone else?
Got one more. I got a quick story. Do what? No, Hilliard won't start. Spencer Ware will start. And Hilliard will get some action. I mean, it's nice to know that Kenny Hilliard's your fourth option to hand the football off to. One of my favorite players on the LSU football team is not a starter. I think I don't know how he will be in the NFL. Kiki Mingo, the size and the speed and the talent and the football smart that he has, Kiki Mingo will play a long time in the NFL. And he doesn't even start at LSU.
Anyone else?
Quick story, LSU, a lot of you people remember, everybody remember Pete Maravich? He died January 1988, and at the time he was coaching biddy basketball in Covington, Louisiana. And I was the recreation director for the city of Covington, so imagine the awe I was in when Pete Maravich would come into my office to reserve a court to go practice his 8-year-old basketball team. Well, to the kids, he was nothing but Jason's daddy. His son Jason was 8 at the time, playing on his team. Their nickname was the Pistols. And Pete, of course, the parents knew who he was. So at biddy basketball practice at Covington Elementary School gym, they would almost fill the gym when the Pistols would practice because it was the parents wanting to see Pete Maravich. Well, we had a coach in the league who thought 8-year-old basketball was being played in Rupp Arena. You know, he didn't understand the concept of youth sports. And he was enamored by Pete Maravich. Well, Pete would have me go to the gym when his practice ended and help him get to his car. Because literally the people would bother him he was trying to get to his car. Pete had a lot of different priorities in his life at that time. Basketball was really not one of them. One night I'm walking Pete to the car and youth league coach Steve, that is his real name, comes up and he's like, hey Pete, I got to talk to you. And I said, hey Steve, you need to move on. Pete's got to get out of here. Steve and Pete looked at me, first time he'd ever done it, said, it's okay. Well, Steve says, Pete, I got to tell you, when I was a little kid, growing up, and the coach went to give out the uniforms, we all wanted to wear number 23 because you wore it at LSU. I mean, we'd push and shove, we wanted 23 because you wore it at LSU, Pete. Pete said, thank you very much. The coach says, well, you know what disappoints me now? Pete says, what's that? He says, well, now I'm a coach, and I go to give these uniforms out, and everybody wants number 23, but it's because of Michael Jordan, not because of you. Pete's answer was, have you ever wondered why Jordan wore 23?